Welcome to It Starts with Clarity. I'm your host, Ellen Gibson, founder of Pivot Point Me. This podcast is designed to help you gain clarity, create focus, and take intentional action in your life, business, relationships, and personal growth journey. If you've ever found yourself standing at a crossroads, wondering what comes next, you're in the right place. Because every meaningful change begins with clarity. Today, we're talking about something that every one of us uses every single day, yet rarely stops to examine. The power of our words. The words that we speak to ourselves, the words we speak to others, the words that we repeat over and over until they become our reality. This episode is inspired by Florence Shen's classic book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, specifically Chapter 3, The Power of the Word. Although this book was written nearly a century ago, its message is perhaps more relevant today than ever before. We live in a world filled with constant communication. Social media, news, text messages, emails, conversations, meetings, and internal dialogue, yet much of that communication is negative, fearful, critical, and limiting. What would happen if we became more intentional about the words we use? What if our words became tools for healing, encouragement, growth, and possibility? Let's explore that today. One of the central teachings from Florence Shen is that words are not simply sounds. Words carry energy. Words direct thought. Words influence belief, and beliefs influence actions. Think about it. How often do we say things like, "I'll never figure this out," or "I'm terrible with money," or "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I'm too old," or "I'm too young," or "I don't have what it takes." Many people speak these statements so often that they no longer question them. They become accepted as truth. But what if they aren't true? What if they're simply repeated thoughts that have become habits? Every time we repeat a limiting statement, we reinforce it. Every time we reinforce it, we strengthen it. And eventually, we begin living from it. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one happening inside your own mind. Most people would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. Imagine calling your friend and saying, "Hey, you're a failure," or "You'll never accomplish that," or "You're not smart enough," or "You always mess things up." Yet, many people say these exact things to themselves every single day. Words become internal programming. The challenge is that our subconscious mind listens to everything we say. It doesn't always distinguish between truth and repetition. It simply records. This is why awareness is so important. Start paying attention to the words you use when describing yourself. Do you speak encouragement or criticism? Do you speak possibility or limitation? Do your words create hope or fear? Our words don't just impact us. They have a ripple effect. They impact everyone around us. Think back to a compliment someone gave you years ago. You probably still remember it. Now think about a harsh criticism. You probably remember that too. Words linger. Words leave impressions. Words shape relationships. A simple sentence can inspire someone to keep going. A simple sentence can also discourage someone from pursuing a dream. As leaders, parents, spouses, friends, business owners, and human beings, creates a ripple. The question is, what kind of ripple are we creating? One of the greatest challenges today is that negativity has become normalized. People complain about everything. They complain about the traffic. They complain about work. They complain about politics, complain about finances, complain about other people, and complain about themselves. The problem is not that challenges exist. Challenges are real. The problem is that many people become so focused on what is wrong that they lose sight of what is possible. Florence Shinn taught that words spoken repeatedly tend to produce corresponding experiences. Whether you view that spiritually, psychologically, or practically, there is wisdom in it. When we focus constantly on obstacles, we often become experts at finding more obstacles. But when we focus on opportunities, solutions, and possibilities, we begin noticing those as well. Our words help determine what we pay attention to. I'd like to challenge you this week to conduct a word audit. For one day, simply observe. No judgment, just awareness. Pay attention to how you talk about yourself, how you talk about your future, how you talk about your finances, how you talk about your health, how you talk about your relationships, how you talk about other people. You may be surprised by what you discover. Most change begins with awareness. You can't shift what you don't recognize. Once awareness is present, we can begin replacing limiting language with empowering language. Instead of I can't, try I'm learning. Instead of I'll never figure this out, try I haven't figured it out yet. Instead of this is impossible, try this is challenging, but I know I can find a solution. Instead of I'm stuck, try I'm in a season of discovery. Notice that we're not pretending problems don't exist. We're simply choosing words that create movement instead of paralysis. Words that create possibility instead of limitation. Perhaps the greatest gift we can give another person is encouragement. Many people are fighting battles we know nothing about. A kind word, a sincere compliment, a note of appreciation, a simple acknowledgement. These things matter. They matter more than we realize. What if we became intentional about looking for opportunities to encourage others? What if we spoke life into people instead of criticism? What if we became known as people whose words lift others higher? Imagine the impact that we could have in our families, in our workplaces, in our communities, and wow, in our world. As we begin wrapping up, I'd like to leave you with a few questions. What words do you most often use when talking about yourself? Then ask yourself, are my words creating growth or limitation? Where have I allowed negative language to become a habit? What encouraging words do I need to speak to myself today? Who in my life could benefit from a sincere word of encouragement this week? If my words were creating my future, what future am I currently speaking? Florence Shinn taught that words have power. Whether you view that through a spiritual lens, a psychological lens, or simply through the influence that words have on human behavior, the principle remains the same. Words matter. They matter because they influence thoughts, and thoughts influence beliefs. Beliefs influence actions, and actions influence results. Today, I want to leave you with a simple challenge. Pay attention to your words. Speak kindly to yourself. Speak intentionally to others. Look for opportunities to encourage rather than criticize, to build rather than tear down, to create possibility rather than limitation. Because sometimes the smallest shift in language creates the biggest shift in life. And perhaps if enough of us begin using our words for good, we can become part of creating a world that desperately needs more encouragement, more hope, and more kindness. Thank you for joining me for this episode of It Starts with Clarity. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. For more resources, coaching opportunities, mastermind groups, workshops, and tools designed to help you gain clarity, create focus, and take meaningful action, visit pivot.me. And remember, clarity creates focus. Focus creates action. Action creates results. And it all starts with clarity. Until next time, keep moving forward with purpose and intention.